Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Dash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love and respect to you. I came out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Now, this video is going to be explaining how we are the modern day Gentiles. We are in the position of the Gentiles going back to the New Testament. Okay? Because when you read the New Testament, those Gentiles are not other nations. They're not Edomites and Moabites. They're actually Israelites that followed after those customs, that were following after the customs of the nations where they were scattered. Okay? And that all goes back to the curses. You see, the curses are an identifier of who the true Israelites are. Okay? So we understood that that would happen, and that's why there had to be a grafting in. All right? A reconciliation. Not only with the ones that were known as the circumcision, but also the uncircumcision, which were Israelites that lost their way. Okay, now I typed in Google, I just typed in African American man, right? And let's see if any of these men have a Hebrew Israelite garment on, or a Hebrew Israelite attire, or a mitri, or, you know, the ephod, or any of those things that go back to Yasher Allah. Okay? Look at this guy, bald face. This guy wearing a jean jacket, a suit with a tie. All right? This guy has a shirt, a V-neck shirt. This guy has at least he has a beard, but you know his beard is lined up. All right? But at least he has a beard. All right, and this beard thing amongst Jake, this is new, and it's like a trend to Jake, because when I first started rocking a beard, when I first heard about the truth, it wasn't popular to rock the beard. Okay, so this is definitely new. In the past, few years, it has became popular because that's just the spirit of the Lord. Okay, you got this Jake, bald face, wearing a button up. Okay, and we all wear these type of clothing because we're in the lands of our oppressors. We're under the enemy right now, so of course we're gonna wear these clothings. Okay, you're not gonna see us going to work with a Hebrew Israelite garment. Okay, but as you can clearly see, none of these Jakes have that ancient Israelite vibe. They got dreads. It just looks like it's some weave. All right, got dreads. They got lineups. They got bald faces. They're all about this society. They're all about this modern day Egypt. Okay? You can clearly see that they're completely lost. So I'm going to read Jeremiah 17:4. It says, "And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." Okay, so we discontinued from our heritage. Let's look up the word heritage. Okay, the word heritage, it says inheritance. What's part of your inheritance? What's the major part of an inheritance? The land. Okay, the land is a major part of the inheritance. Okay, inherit. Possession, property. See, that deals with land. Okay, inheritance, heritage, property, portion, share, inheritance. Now, what's our portion? To be Israelites in the land of Israel, right? But are we there? Are we following the customs of our nation? No, because that has not been passed down. Because the enemy saw fit for us to discontinue, right? Let's get Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and that's why the scripture says, "When you teach your son, you grieveth the enemy," because the enemy wants to teach your son something opposite to the truth, or something opposite to what is beneficial to him. Okay, or to your nation, because why? He's an enemy. Okay, It says, keep not thou silence, O Most High, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Meaning what? They weren't overt with it. They didn't go ahead and publish what they were doing. Okay. Maybe back in the 1800s when they thought you Jakes couldn't read. Okay. Maybe they were a little bit more open with it amongst themselves. But when you Jakes, got integrated into society, so to speak, Esau kept these things hidden. All right. What his true plans are, who you really are, okay, and how he was going to distort history and distort the truth. All right. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. And that's why you call yourself black or Latino or Native American, Indian. Okay. Why? Because you've been cut off. Okay, you've been cut off from your true heritage. So now you're taking on these false heritages, which are nothing more than proverbs and bywords. To be called black is they get all in an uproar when someone says the N-word. Oh my goodness, yo. But they have no problem calling themselves black, which means negative, void of light, wicked, evil. It means everything negative, man. Okay? There's a reason why the pneumonic and bubonic plague was called the Black Death. Why wasn't it called the White Death? Because black signifies something very negative. Okay? But this is what you Jakes put on yourself as a covering, as a garment, which is not the garment that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai ordained you to put on. Okay? That's why the scripture says, put on. Hold on, let me get that. Let me see if I can find that. Okay. This is Isaiah 52 and verse 1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. Meaning what? There's none of us are going to forget our heritage. All of us are going to know that we're Israelites. You understand? So ain't going to be no unclean amongst us. Ain't going to be no circumcision versus the uncircumcision. All of our people will be of one mind and one heart. Okay, to follow Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and Kohalayim Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for leaving back a remnant and for sending his son down first and foremost to be a ultimate sacrifice for the nation of Israel. Okay, because as the scriptures say, we would have been as Sodom and Gomorrah. Because look at the condition of Jake. Look at the Issachar. Okay. The so-called Mexicans, what are they doing, man? Tattooing their faces, being cruel to one another. The MS-13. There's nothing but wickedness going on amongst our people. So the Lord has to cleanse a certain group of us to bring us back to our heritage. All right? It says, shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem, loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. All right. So what we're going to do is what the Lord is going to do, he's going to take us out of that captive state. Okay. Did I finish this? It says, oh yeah, let me read 4 again. Psalms 83 and 4 says, they have said, come and let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel shall be may be no more in remembrance. Okay. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites and Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot Salah. So we clearly see that all these nations, going from Edom all the way to all the way to, what was the nation, Moab and Ammon, okay, which are the children of Lot. Okay, and then it goes down to what, the Midianites, right? So basically all these other nations were confederate. Okay, they were all confederate with it. That's why it says they hissed, they clapped the hand at the daughter of Zion, saying, oh, is this the perfection of beauty? Because those other nations were, they envied the nation of Israel. Okay, so now we see that what we've lost our heritage, we lost our way. Okay, which was given unto us by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Let's get Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64. And it reads, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So what would happen? We would discontinue from our heritage. This is all part of the curses. This is a part of the disobedience of the nation of Israel. See, people say, oh yeah, Israel disobeyed, so the Lord cut them off. No, that's not how the Lord works with Israel. When Israel disobeys, the Lord punishes Israel so that he can do what? So he can humble them. All right? That's what the Lord does. He punishes Israel so that he can humble them. Let's get Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. Okay, in the first verse it says, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy power led thee these 40 years in the wilderness to humble thee. You see? So the Lord had Israel walk in the wilderness for 40 years, which that should have been a quick, I don't know, a few months trip. That was not far at all. But the Lord led them in a circle so that, that generation would not inherit the land of Israel because of their wickedness, because of their disobedience. And he had them, suffering in the wilderness for a certain time. For what? To humble them. The same reason he scattered us among the nations and put us in captivity. The reason was to humble us. Okay? Because Jake, the majority of Jake was proud. Okay? And to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he's doing the same thing now. Okay, with the time of the hour of temptation, which is about to come, he's going to prove the nation of Israel, but there's only going to be an elect few that are going to come out and actually pass that test. The rest are going to be destroyed. And guess what? The elect is amongst different nations as well. Okay, the elect is scattered amongst different nations. All right, the greatest deliverance is going to be in America, but the elect is all around the earth. Let's get Isaiah 11 and 11. Okay, this is Isaiah 11 verse 11. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, which are all heathen nations, and from the islands of the sea. But he's looking for what? For his people. Okay? And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So the Lord is going to gather the Israelites from the four corners of the earth and bring them back to the land of Israel. Okay, so that they can receive their heritage again. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not vex envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. You see, when we come down from those ships, it's go time. Okay? And Israel as a whole is going to be in unity, but it's going to be starting with the elect. Okay? This is an example of Israel in unity. You have Ephraim coming in, you got Issachar coming in, you got Zebulun coming in. All right? And we're all coming together in unity. And in the spirit, even before Israel start finding out that the so-called Puerto Ricans are your brothers, the so-called Mexicans, so on and so forth, we already vibed. We already knew something in our spirit that said we were connected. Okay? You can't throw Moab in there. We never felt connected to Moab, okay, or Ammon or Elam. You know, we felt connected with Ephraim, with Zebulun, with Issachar, because we're of the same nation. Okay, so the Lord is bringing all of that back to remembrance. That's why the scripture says, "Though ye once knew this." Okay, it's not really new information. This is 1 Corinthians 12. I'll start at verse 2. It says, "Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led." And I just read about the fact that the Lord was going to scatter us amongst these nations where we would serve other gods. And this is what has been happening even going back then. And there was a main event that happened that caused a lot of the Israelites to follow after a specific custom. And that custom is the Greekish custom. That's why when you read the scripture, it says there's no difference neither between Jew nor Greek. That's because it said that because the Greeks that it was speaking about was Israelites that were following after the Greekish customs. Okay, the whole Bible there's nothing that speaks about the first or the new covenant being about any other nation except for the Israelites. So where do the Gentiles, speaking about the heathen nations specifically, where do they fit in? They don't fit into the covenant. Okay, where they fit in is Isaiah the 2nd chapter. We're gonna have to teach them the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay. We're not going to have to teach any Israelites because it even tells you in Jeremiah 31 that all Israel is going to have it written within us. So these Gentiles are speaking about Israelites. Okay? Let me get something. Let's get Maccabees. First Maccabees. 1:40, because this was a major event. This wasn't a small event that caused a lot of Israelites to fall away. Okay, and of course it had to be spearheaded by who? The devil. Okay, Esau, Edom. Okay, the so-called, we have to even say so-called Greeks because they're not the original Greeks. Okay, this is First Maccabees 1:40. It says, "As had been her glory, so was her dishonor." Okay, excuse me, Slakia. Verse 41 is where I want to start. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed." See, the heathen were easy to catch. Okay, Israel was that trouble nation, that rebellious nation, so to speak, amongst these other nations. Okay. "According to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites," said many. It didn't say a few Israelites, it said many. Okay, so that could have millions of Israelites. We don't know what the number is. Okay, but we know it was a lot. Okay, "Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem, and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beast. All right, showing you that Esau is not more than a profane person. Okay, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. See, this was always the goal of these people, man. All right, was to make us forget our laws and our ordinances, because they're contrary to their ordinances. You see, when you read, what's that, Wisdom of Solomon, is it the 2nd chapter, okay, where it speaks about, what the wicked say, their ways are contrary to our ways, and they're not for our turn. You see, Esau sees Jake in a righteous state, and he gets angry. Okay, he gets very angry. That's why when he sees us out there preaching, it really rubs him the wrong way, because he sees Jake getting in order. Okay, on top of bringing out the truth about him, Jake is also getting in order. Okay, and Esau doesn't like to see that, because why? Because he's envious. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So this is it. So it was a death sentence to practice being an Israelite, or to, right? And I'm going to play another thing that another verse that's going to show you that it was even against the law to even profess yourself to be an Israelite. Okay, but the majority of the Israelites consented to this. All right, because there's only a few. There's always been only a handful of Israelites, a remnant, that was willing to go all the way for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And this is what he's looking for in this time. Okay, that remnant that's willing to go all the way for it. Okay, even unto death. That's why it says, strive for the truth unto death, and I shall give thee a crown of life. A lot of people are going to fold in these last days, because it's going to get hectic. If you're not stable, if you're not rooted, expect to fold. If you're watching 8 different Israelites, I like this camp, but then I like this camp, and I like this camp, expect to not be rooted and to fall out. As a matter of fact, a guy like that, you don't want that guy around you, man, in the last days. Okay, you don't want that guy around you. You don't want that guy to have your number. You don't want that guy to know anything about you, because he's unstable, and there's no way he's rooted, listening to multiple doctrines. You have to have a foundation. Okay, so anyways, so I want to jump to 2nd Maccabees, the 1st chapter, and I'm going to start at matter of fact, I'll start at 4. It says, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. You see, so Esau just went all the way with his wickedness and his perverseness, amongst the Lord's people. Okay, he just went all the way with it. Just like now, you see how he's polluting the holy people, right? You got Dwayne Wade, right? Look at what he's doing. You have a Will Smith, Willow, and Jaden Smith. Those are androgynous individuals, okay? And they were created like that because their father is part of that system, okay? You got the drag race. Who runs that? That's all spearheaded by Jake. All this weirdo energy and this all this wickedness, okay? They push Jake out there in the forefront because they're trying to what? They're trying to profane the holy people. All right? Which they have profaned the holy people. All right? But ultimately was Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in order to bring us low so that he can what? So he can humble us. So we're coming out of this Gentile state of mind, coming out from wearing suits and eating bacon and whatever the case may be, eating shrimp, whatever you were doing that was unclean and wicked. You repented from it, and you came into the truth, and you became what? A new creature. All right. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. You see how that works? You couldn't even say you were a Jew. So you know that those records got destroyed. Okay, you know those records got destroyed. So the fact that those Israelites were coming back was all based upon faith. It was based on 100% faith, because they didn't have the records. All they knew through the Spirit, they knew they were Israelites. Okay? Most of them had the facial features and all that. They knew they were Israelites. Okay? And they heard stories passed down that they come from those people. A lot of it had to do with what? Faith. And that's why there's a scripture that says about don't be concerned with endless genealogies, man. Because it's not edifying. It will lead to more what? Ungodliness. Matter of fact, I basically quoted it. But the reason that was being said was because a lot of those Israelites coming back, they didn't have the records. In order for you to profess yourself to be a priest, a Levite priest, you needed the records. And for you to profess yourself, I'm of the tribe of Judah. Where's your records? I'm of the tribe of Manasseh. Where's the records on that? Because Jake was all about that carnality, because Jake was not spiritual. The circumcision, most of the circumcision was not being spiritual when it came to these people, which were really their own people that was just following after these other customs. You understand? Let me get on Romans, the 8th chapter. It says Romans 8. Shit, I could start at verse 6 and go all the way down, man. For real. I could start at 6 and go all the way down. You know what? I'm going to start at 6, man. It says, actually, I'll start at 5. It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit think the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And most of these Israelite groups are carnally minded. Okay? Completely. That's why a guy will come, they won't even try the Spirit. They'll just automatically, you're an Edomite, bow down, kiss my boot. And a lot of those people that's kissing their boots is actually Israelites. So that's just showing you the pride of these guys. Because even when Yahushua was on the earth, he could have told Israelites to bow. He could have told Israelites to bow down and kiss his boot, but he didn't do that because, first of all, he wasn't glorified. Okay, they tried to make him a king, and he knew it wasn't that time, so he fled away. But you low-level Israelites in this captivity who live in a damn apartment and sin every single day, you think that you can? Oh no, I don't sin every day. Okay, all right, buddy. All right, so you're perfect on the level of Yahushua, right? No, you're not. You sin countless times, even now, and you think you're gonna have somebody bow down to you, kiss my boot. That's all ego and pride, man. That's all a show. That's all bullshit. That's all BS. Okay, and a lot of Jake is doing that because they got low self-esteem, man. We don't need to do that. Listen, man. We don't need to. First of all, we don't need to do that. If an Edomite bow, we say, get up, man. You're gonna be able to. Don't worry. You're gonna have plenty of chance to do that in the kingdom, because we believe that it's gonna be here, that it's gonna come. I should say. A lot of these jakes are trying to make the kingdom come in this time when it's not. It's not meant to come in this time. Excuse, Salakia for the rambling, man. But I just had to say that through the Spirit. Okay. This is Romans 8:7. It says, because, and when I say it's not coming in this time, I mean this is not the kingdom. You can't create a kingdom in Babylon, all right, or in this beast system. It says, because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of the Most High dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his. And if Hamashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. All right? But if ye live through the Spirit, do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. And a lot of those Israelites were not living after the Spirit. They were living after the flesh. That's why it was all about, oh, you got to get circumcised. You got to this, that. Oh, you're not. Where's the records? Where's the records? Okay? They're all in that vibration because they were not spiritual. And that's why Peter had that vision, okay, where the napkin came down and the unclean foods was there. And the Lord said, whatever I cleanse, call not thou common or unclean. Because that represented Cornelius and the men that were with him. They were Israelites, but they were following out. They were coming out of that heathenistic mindset. He was of the Italian band. Don't you think he was wearing the Italian garb? Don't you think he was, because he was like an officer, right? So don't you think he was wearing like the Italian garb? Of course. So he probably didn't have the records, but he knew through the Spirit he was an Israelite, and that was the beginning of what? The Israelite foreigners being grafted in. The reason Yahushua didn't really deal with that because it wasn't that time. You don't think Yahushua knew about that? Of course he knew. Come on, bro. He knew that they were Israelites, the ones that were coming on and believing on him. He knew that they were. That's why he said, oh, no, I haven't found no faith like this even amongst all Israel. And he said that for a reason. Right? For as many as are led by the Spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Okay? The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. And if children, then heirs of the Most High, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. You see, a lot of these other camps, I'm just going to bring it to modern day times. A lot of these other camps would have rejected Paul and would have rejected Peter, okay, in their stance on the Gentiles, because they didn't have the records. Because they're carnal. That's why everything is about black. You know, if you don't look like an Israelite, you can't be an Israelite. Why? Because they're carnal minded. They're not on a level to understand the deep mysteries of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Okay? Now, when you come to the branches being grafted in, which I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to jump down to, let's see. Let's start at verse let's start at verse Let's do it. Romans 11 and verse 16. It says, "For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree," meaning what? The uncircumcision being grafted into the faith. The Israelites that lost their way, even though they don't have the records, they didn't grow up in the customs, they're being grafted back in, right? "Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee." Listen to this very carefully. "Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear." What does that mean? That means they know they're Israelites. They got the records. They grew up in the customs. They've been keeping the laws. They grew up keeping the laws to a certain degree, right? For the most part, right? Circumcised on the 8th day, so on and so forth. But you just being grafted in now and not even having any records, you're dealing with faith. So be not high-minded. So you better come in a humble spirit. And that's why the Lord took away our heritage completely, to humble us the same way he did when we were walking in the wilderness, man. It was a humbling agent. So we don't come back high-minded. You got Jake still coming back with a high mind, thinking they already got it. "Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it. I don't sin. We don't sin. Where have I sinned?" They think they got it, bro. They don't got it, man. All right? Because what the Lord is really looking for, we're not justified by the law, period, especially now. The Lord is looking for faith and humility, man. You understand? "For if the Most High spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee." Because guess what? They were keeping the laws more than us. They could have compared to us, they could have boasted in the law because they kept the law more than us. All right. It says, "Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of the Most High on them which fell. Severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, thou also shalt be cut off." You see? So you better not be high-minded. All right? See, this whole story, the whole Bible would not make sense if all of a sudden it's all about the Israelite. Even when the Lord came on the scene and said, "Go not in the way of the Gentiles." But then all of a sudden the Gentiles, by the way, the Gentiles can come in. As a matter of fact, most of the Israelites are going to be cut off, but then we're going to graft into Gentiles. That doesn't make any sense. All right. This whole book is dealing with the Gentiles, dealing with the Israelites, okay? So anyways, with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. Okay, I don't want to ramble on too much. And hopefully that was edifying to the elect, and I'll say shalom to the next time. Shalom.